Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Mel Kaspin Blume on the line, and she's founder, copywriter, and storyteller over at Once Upon a Blume. She's also author of the children's book, Screens, Beans, and Quarantines. Mel, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to get into this book, Screens, Beans, and Quarantines. I'm looking at the art on it. It's a children's book for everybody listening that maybe didn't read the show notes yet or have time to. It's a children's book, and we're going to do a deep dive in there. It's adorable. I can't wait to share it with you. But Mel, before we get into that, I do want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Once Upon a Blume. Tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Yeah, sure. So my background is in journalism and in copywriting. I was the head of copy at Disney for 5.5 years for consumer products. And then once I had my second child, I wanted to avoid the commute and work closer to home. So I started my own company. And what I do now is I do brand voices. I either strengthen them or completely craft them for companies of all shapes and sizes. And I either develop their brand voice, provide brand voice Bibles, and then do all the copy for all their marketing, including their website, social media, anything printed, or I work on scripts for different things. It kind of varies for different companies. I work on campaigns. So it's all different types of writing for all different companies.
So, Mel, at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave your website or social or allow people to connect with you where you want to send it. So what are typically the right fit for you, like the types of companies and or individuals that are usually a good to connect with Once Upon a Blume?
It honestly varies so much. So the sizes of companies I've worked with, like Forbes or Condé Nast, or coming up is Microsoft, but I've also worked with smaller companies and startups like the Cause Bar and Goo Goo Guru, which is a mommy company. So they're really all different sizes, and so it really just depends if we vibe, and I'm happy to work with people from all different industries.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's switch it up a bit. So we have to get into this book. So Screens, Beans, and Quarantines. First off, what was the inspiration for this?
The inspiration actually came on March 13th, the day schools were closing. I live in West LA, and I was volunteering at my daughter's school in the library. She's a kindergartner. And I was there while her principal came in and told her class, we're actually shutting the school down for 2 weeks. You have an early spring break. You get to spend time with your families. And of course, I'm watching this like as a parent who obviously knows what's going on the other side. And just to see all these faces like shocked, like completely shocked. I was really wondering like how they're feeling and what that must be like to all of a sudden like you're just not going to school. And then after the 2 weeks hit, all of a sudden you're just learning from your parents or whoever's home with you every day. So I knew it was just like it was massive for any age. But I was thinking of like the younger kids, like how overwhelming that is. So I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And in the beginning, I was just, this is so exciting. You know, we get to hang out every day. I was trying to be just like super positive. But of course, there were so many changes happening around us that I had to address. So I'm a storyteller. So I took to storytelling to try to get the message through to them in a more positive way. Obviously, I didn't want to take the fear-based tactic fully with that young of an age, but I had to get it across that this is super important. So we would talk about the size of the germ is smaller than a sparkle. You can't see it, but it can get you really sick, and that's why we're wearing gloves and masks. And while we can talk about it, I think that creating a story with pictures really helps open up the discussion about it. And then after reading it to them and the two of them really liking it and asking me to go back to different parts, and it really opened up the conversation with us, and it it kind of like got it into their brain a lot better than just through conversation. And then after that reaction, I decided to send it to their schools, and their schools were, totally open to it and excited for it. And then I started sharing it on social media, and I just found that a lot of people needed a storytelling tactic to talk about this huge, unprecedented, experience we're all going through. So that's kind of how it happened.
I love it. And just to give the audience, I don't think I've done story time on the podcast, over 2,000 interviews, but we're doing it. So I read some of this, and I'm like, my questions are like, how big is it? Will it travel sideways from somebody's spit? Does this virus live where I sit? I'm not sure, not even a bit. I mean, this is just really well done. I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a little kid over here listening, I'm like, I don't know, for some of the adults listening, this might be a good way to clear up some of what's in the media, honestly. So where is this, so what's your goal with this book? And I know obviously it's to spread awareness. It's also to do it, but what's your overall goal? Like, how do you want to get this into more people's hands? Because I think it's a very good way, especially for those that don't maybe have those storytelling, that skill set, right? It's a very specific skill you use to bring this and to be able to convey it. It's not an easy thing for a parent to have the tools to explain what's going on. It's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my goal is to just, I feel like we have no idea really what the emotional experience this is for kids, like truly, because we didn't really, go through this when we were kids. So I feel like just the more kids who can like read this and maybe see a positive side of something is super important. And just to try to like swim in that energy for a little bit, because I know it's so unbelievably hard for parents, or it's hard for everybody, but I as a parent, I have full empathy for parents who are home with their kids right now, and I know it's really hard to stay positive. So I feel like if you can sit down and read this book together, I think it also brings that energy to the parent, So that's my goal, is to just try to spread some light during a time where there's just kind of a lot of darkness. So that's
awesome.
My goal.
I love it, Mel. So that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more, of course, with what you're doing over at Once Upon a Blume, or if they want to download your book, I mean, what's the best way for them to connect and follow up?
Yeah, thank you. So onceuponablume.com, and Blume is Blume. That has a lot of my work, and you can download the book. There's an ebook or a printable option without so much color, and it's free. So anyone can download it or pass it on, share it on social media. However you want to do it, it's just free and easy to download.
Fantastic. Well, Mel, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great things you're doing over at Once Upon a Blume, and of course about writing this book, and for really bringing awareness to everyone about what's going on, and for our little ones. So I love that. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Mel, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.